Hello, everybody. It's midday. It's Friday, which means it's now Wow Ergonomics. And apologies that you've seen a lot of me already on your screens this morning. I can't help it. I'm just a busy person. That's all I'm going to say. Stephen, how are you?
Hello, I'm all right, thank you. Is it not true though, Graham? You can't have too much of a good thing. Wasn't that in it? Wasn't that a line from a song or a title of a song?
It was. It definitely was. Absolutely. Yeah. You've been a busy boy this morning as well. Anyway, haven't you?
I have just been doing two interviews. Not for me looking for someone else to join the Backer UK family. So. And of course, you know, it's like you set them for an hour and they overrun, so which is fine, really good people to speak to. But sort of 2 hours became 2.5, and it was just like, right, I need to get a wriggle on here. We've got a show to do at 12.
Well, that's actually really positive news that they were kind of overtaken, because you know, if it's a bad interview, it's like, right. Thank you for that. Next. Anyway, let's bring our guest in. She's not a bad egg. She's a good egg. In fact, she's nice. Here we are, Gemma.
Hello.
Nice to see you. To see you nice. You've never heard that before in your life.
No.
It's a bit like a surname like How. How, it's like, how do you do? It's like that. I had that from about 7 through till about 17. So yeah.
Do you remember the show? You're too young to remember the TV show. How?
Yeah. Well, I'm 40. So yeah, I don't remember.
Stephen, can you remember it? You can't remember that.
Just about. You are older than us, Graham, though.
Yeah,
so
I know.
We're talking different range here. But was it somebody? It wasn't Tony Hart. It was.
I remember him.
Was it, what do you call him? But was it Johnny Ball?
No, I don't think it was Johnny Ball. That was Think of a Number. Think of a Number. Okay. But it was a show, and the only thing I can remember of it, because you know, when you get old as well, you start losing your marbles. I've got them down here. Polished them up this morning. Is that everybody went how like that in it, and
that was my life from about 7 to 17. Was that constantly? Because that bloody TV show.
Now, Gemma, thanks for joining us this morning. We always start by saying to guests, do tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Yes. So yeah, I'm actually, my name now, I'm going to throw this out there. My name is actually Gemma Nice, like in the French town.
Nice, like, and as in a biscuit.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my name. I am from Brighton, and I am a relationship coach and yoga coach, and I help professional women with their relationships. Well, it's more struggling with yourself, and that's kind of what I do. And I struggled with my relationship, and my relationship is now 22 years old, nearly 23. So I've been through a lot of trauma and things. I had a miscarriage in 2012, but then went on to have 2 children, so that was fine. But that's kind of what I do. I just last night taught lamb yoga. That's starting up again, which is great fun.
Lamb yoga.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Is this yoga with lambs?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. I love this. Right. Okay. How does that work?
You have the lambs or like the sheep in pens either side of you, and then you're on your mats doing yoga, but then we let out about 6 or 7 lambs, and they just come around, they nibble you, they jump, skip around. It's hilarious. It's amazing. It's great fun. And then cuddles afterwards.
No mint sauce.
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
Actually, a lot of them are going to there though.
Yeah. So what I have to ask, what's the benefit of lamb yoga?
It's just fun and well-being as well. Lots of well-being. Well, I taught some guides last night, like girl guides, and 2 of them were saying, this is just amazing. It's lovely. We're in a barn over there. It was absolutely chucking it here yesterday. In a barn, and just listening to all of the lambs, the sheep, the cows, and just being out in nature. And it was just, it's really, really lovely. Yeah. I'm also doing alpaca yoga in the summer.
I was just
I'm
about
not
to
sure
say,
that I want an alpaca on my back.
I was just about to say, can other animals be sort of substituted in for the lambs? Is there a sort of a good a list with tick and a list with cross? I mean, clearly, you know,
Snake yoga,
pythons and things like that. And, you know, but what is it? Is it generally some sort of farmyard type animal?
Yeah, there are. I haven't done it yet, but I'm trying to sort out wine yoga. There's also dog yoga and cat yoga as well.
I think you want to get those goats that fall over.
I want to do goat yoga. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah,
it is. If you've never seen those videos of that on YouTube or whatever, it's brilliant. You know, someone claps or makes a loud noise and they all go boom, 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 boom. Oh dear.
Really Graham, you could bring your dog for dog yoga, couldn't you?
Dog yoga. Oh yeah, he's fine because he kind of does that anyway. He kind of, you know, he's so small. We have a mini Dachshund.
Oh, cute.
So he's. I mean, we lose him because we don't know where he is. He just calls in. In fact, the other day he was in the bedroom while I was doing something, and I looked around. I didn't know where he'd gone, and my dressing gown had fallen off the door in the bedroom, and he'd literally crawled inside one of the arms. Aww. And he was just there inside the arm of the thing. And I was like trying to pick my dressing gown up. It's heavy. Dog inside. Really suddenly this head comes through. I'm trapped. There we go.
Graham goes to put his dressing gown on, puts his arm through, and sort of punches a dog and knocks it. Yeah.
I used to be a veterinary nurse, so they're really, really cute. Actually, those dogs.
They certainly are, and relationships as well. So, how much of perhaps this is a question we shouldn't go down, but how much of modern day relationships are made problematic by this stuff, the fact that we're, you know, everything's virtual and you know.
A lot, actually, to be honest, a lot, just because we're all mostly working from home still, and I think that is the demographic now. Everybody is like, I'm upstairs in my bedroom, my husband's downstairs working in the office, and I think everybody just gets on top of each other. And even if you do go out to work, one of you is still at home, or maybe you both go out to work, but either way, you are, like we are talking now, and you as a person get really, like, not claustrophobic, but whatever the word is, that you just don't go out a lot and you don't see many people. Yes, you are interacting with your work colleagues online, but you're not actually properly interacting with them properly. And then, people just start to then have like a roller coaster of effects where it just, you just feel so vulnerable and stressed out and tired, and maybe you're not even going out for a walk at lunchtime to get out, but you're just not seeing people. And as a human race, we need to be with people, so it's very difficult. But then if you're working from home, you're also constantly seeing each other all the time. You're not actually having a break from each other, which a break is very good for a couple, and you then just got nothing to really talk about when you've finished your work day, because you've constantly been with each other all the time, all day. So it is really common, really, really common.
I was going to say, Graham, we spoke last week briefly on the show. I went to an exhibition at the NEC last Tuesday, so about 10 days ago, and it was interesting. I was sat with a couple of sort of people from the ergonomic world. I was sat with Guy Osman, and I was sat with Catherine Meters, and also Andrew Shepherd, and we were just sitting around the table. It was towards the end of the day, and we just looked round, and you could feel at this show, you could sense there were a lot of people who were on stands, on exhibition stands, who clearly doing that was just, they were so unused to doing it. That there wasn't, that it was people looking down at phones, not actually looking to go and interact with people, where previously, you know, I'm sure you've been to bit like, I always get it wrong, bit like him over there, but you actually felt like as if maybe if you went back a few years, there was that, you know, not literally dragging people in, but that real engagement piece. And you look around and you just felt as if there were a lot of people almost felt as if it was a bit of an inconvenience to be there. But actually, why am I here? I want to be sat at home. I want to be working at home. And it was just a feeling between the group of us when we sort of kicked it round, that you just felt as if those sort of shows and exhibitions are going to take time. They're going to take 3 or 4 years for that sort of that mentality that people have when they go to them is I'm here to engage, not seeing it as a bit of an inconvenience. And that was just the way it, and that would be unfair to everyone there, but we just looked around and we sort of spotted a few stands and thought there's just no engagement. It's as if they don't, oh, please don't come and speak to me. I'm quite happy here looking at my phone and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And actually, I came up to London on Wednesday evening for an event, a networking event. And obviously I'm in Brighton, so we don't have the underground, but I find it so interesting. I love people watching. And most of the people are on their phones or they're just looking down. And you just think your neck is seriously going to be bad in years to come. But it's just our society now that we have to have something in our hands all the time. We have to constantly be communicating via our phones, even though maybe you're with a friend, we don't really know how to communicate anymore, how to just stand there and have a chat, because we have been so programmed to do all this stuff online that why would we have to talk to somebody else? It's very weird.
It's one of the things that I found really interesting in the conversations that we've had on this show more recently. I think because when we first started doing this in the middle of the pandemic, and things were locked down, we probably focused more on sort of pure ergonomics and ergonomic advice. That being the background that I come from as well, and Stephen works within that sector. But we always felt that there was a need to sort of talk about it and integrate it with other channels and other ways of helping people. And the more we do this show, I think the more we come up with the conclusion that there's too many people working in silos. There's too many people sort of like just looking at it from this perspective or that perspective and not the other. And one of the things that we talk about within ergonomics is, and in fact that's what ergonomics means. It's actually a relationship thing. It's about your relationship with your environment, and actually part of that is the people within that environment as well. And it's changed so much. It really has changed so much. And one of the reasons that people within the sector are struggling to get their message across sometimes is because all of these other elements are at play as well. The fact that as you say, people kind of feel safe in that digital arena, Stephen. They've kind of, they're trying to build this kind of barrier between them and the outside world, because they were rushed into it, and that then became what felt safe, because that was the messaging all of the time. We were told this is safe. If you're out there, then you might catch this horrible thing that might kill you, and staying in is safe. But although companies reacted the best they could to the situation as things unfurled, there was so little actual training or time taken to really talk to people about what the impact was emotionally, intellectually, whatever, in terms of being moved suddenly from an office full of people, being out there, socializing, being with other people, being in groups, working in groups all of the time, to this isolated reality. And even now that we're back to, doors predominantly open, it's still kind of stuck, hasn't it? I mean, and as Stephen said, it's going to take time. How do we start to heal that?
So communication is the best thing. So tell us how you feel all the time. And although a lot of people, especially men, aren't really talking about how they feel, they are a lot more now are actually coming out and saying, I need help, or please, can you talk to me? But a lot of the time it is just that. And you can, if you've got a good employer, hopefully they will listen. Or if they won't, then go to what they're called, employees, like your people that you work with, and just say, I really need some help. And then hopefully, if it's like a big corporation, then they will have people in place for that, like well-being specialists or lots of different kind of things for that. But there are so many other things that you can do, like going out for a walk, and just even journaling. Actually, if you don't really want to say how you feel to somebody because that makes it real, then journal it out, like excuse me, writing down how you feel and then reading it back, because then when you do that, you think, oh, actually, yeah, okay, this is making me think I do have a problem, or something is wrong here, I don't feel quite right, or I'm really, really stressed out, I don't have the urge to work or get up or just feel normal, or how I used to feel. And just by saying, I need some help, or I would like to talk to you about something, that then starts off the conversation. So yeah, just by actually noticing how you feel. And meditation is coming up massively at the moment, and that's a really, really big one. And you don't even have to do it for an hour. You don't have to sit cross-legged, or however you think a meditation,
or have sheep on your back. You don't have to do
a lamb under your arm.
Then it kind of it will work, because you then start to notice more about your body, especially if you have pain anywhere. Like, your body is a natural thing that it heals itself, but when it's got pain, that is trying to tell you something's off. So if you've got a headache, or you've got gut issues or something like that, your gut is amazing at telling you what the issue is, and it certainly is a stress. So when you actually start to listen, do some meditation, or just sit quietly. You don't have to just sit and do that, but sitting quietly, thinking and listening to your thoughts and listening to how you feel, you can then come at a different angle and say, okay, yeah, I do want to talk to someone now. And then you can then just splurge out and talk to whoever will listen, or a family member, or get some professional help. There's so many therapists out there that will help.
Do you know what? I didn't realize until yesterday. I was actually with a group of people that were talking about it. But that age-old saying about, I've got a gut feeling about this, etc. But I didn't realize, all of the science about the sort of, is it the vena nerve, etc., and the fact that you've got this nerve connecting your brain and your gut, and actually, your stomach does actually, is a center for anxiety and stress and everything else. So it's really, really interesting. How much does it impact, or technology, on all of this technology and the way that we work now, how much does that impact upon relationships at home?
It does, because like we were saying earlier, you are focused on your one little screen for 9 to 5 or whatever hours you do, and then you can't switch off. So you need something, because like even on your phone, you've got access to your phone all the time, so you've got access to work emails. So you need to actually have a boundary. So clock off at 5 or whatever time you actually should finish, and make yourself not check your emails, not go on anything to do with work until you should start the next day. And that can have a massive impact on relationships, because so many people don't. Like I have a tendency to write emails at 10 o'clock at night while I'm in bed. And I know I shouldn't, and I know I'm self-employed, but I need to have boundaries as well. And if you don't have boundaries, that is then when your relationship can struggle, because you're constantly on your phone, or you're working again. Why can't you just put that phone down? Why does it have to be at the dining room table when we're having dinner? And why do you have to keep constantly checking stuff for work? So that can bring in a lot of stress and anxiety to your partner. And then it takes
it's difficult though, isn't it? Because that is how work is. And I guess part of it as well is we live in this bubble of idealism about flexibility as well, right?
Yes.
So we assume that actually, because we can dip in and dip out, and therefore we're kind of in charge of our day, because we can not look at our email at 8 o'clock in the morning, but I'm going to look at it at 10 at night or whatever, because I can choose to do that, because that suits maybe some social things within the day or whatever. That actually that's being more flexible, and therefore it's okay. But I guess that the thing, and I'll be honest, we argue about that sometimes here. The problem about it is that actually people only look at it from their perspective. So it's more flexible for you, and it might suit certain things in the household. So, for example, I do the school run in the morning. I do the school run in the afternoon, apart from on Friday because my wife's home. But that doesn't necessarily mean, because I'm not doing stuff at those times or whatever. It doesn't mean to say that that's true flexibility in a way, because, as you say, I could be sitting there in the evening. I'll go, oh, ping, WhatsApp comes through, or it's a client. What do we do about this? All right, I'm going to do this, etc. And also, how many people out there? Let's be honest. How many people have those conversations where it's like, well, yeah, I am looking at my phone, but you're looking at your phone. Yeah. But what I'm doing is, what I'm doing isn't work. Well, I'm not doing work now. I'm just looking at this. Yeah, but you're normally doing work. Yeah, but you sometimes do work on your phone, and it just escalates into this kind of like, is it work? Is it not work? Is it work? Is it not work? Type of thing. And because we blurred the lines between work and life, and our effect on digital equipment or whatever, it's really difficult. Who's going to win in that conversation? How do we get ourselves out of that? Is part of it the fact that we've actually not just got to put the things down, but we've actually got to make time to do something else instead?
Yes. Yeah. So with my clients, I would say make at least once a week for a date night. And it doesn't matter if you don't go out, that's okay, because of childcare or whatever. Do something at home. So turn off your devices. I
was going to say, but date night isn't playing Tetris on your phones.
Oh,
that doesn't count.
No. And just switch off everything, even switch off the TV, have a conversation or play a game, like go back to board games. Sometimes we'll play Monopoly or Giant Snakes and Ladders, because then you're both connecting back to each other and having fun as well. And it doesn't mean that you're constantly on your phone, because that's switched off. In a way, it's a distraction, because if you've got something to say to each other and you don't know how each other is going to react, you then just kind of hide behind your phone, or you hide behind something. So by doing that at least once a week, have one evening, or even go out for a day, go out for a coffee. My husband and I do that on a Friday morning, drop the kids off at school and then go for a coffee. That's our time that we take out, half an hour, 40 minutes, that we can actually just sit and chat without getting interrupted, without doing anything. And that kind of really brings that connection back again, because it is all connection. And then once that connection's back, you then have a better communication from the whole thing. So like within trust, intimacy and communication, all of those three fit together, especially within the workplace as well. So do you
find that people struggle to know what to talk about though, when they then make that space to do it, because so much of your day's work, right? Or so much of your day is about what you do, etc. And I'm sure Stephen is going to attest to this as well. But so it's really difficult, isn't it? Right? You want to naturally, as soon as you stop, you want to tell your partner or the other people that you live with or whatever about what your day is involved. Yeah, it's exciting if you've got lambs jumping on your back doing yoga. I think that's fine. But you want to talk about what's happened. But ultimately, if you then go out on a date night and you go, right, work was dreadful this week, and or this happened, and then the partner's like, do you know what we had at work? We had this. It's like, well, shit, that all you're doing is offloading work.
Yeah.
And you're almost it's almost breaking up what you want to be away and enjoying the relaxing time, but you're raking up all the stuff that you want to get away from. It's it's a tricky one, isn't it?
But that is a good thing in a way as well, because you're offloading. Yes, you're offloading to your partner and they might not understand it compared to your work colleagues. But in a way, it's the way that you say that, or, oh, this happened at work today. You are actually saying it, so you're getting it out of your system. So actually then you can then come back into the day after and think, oh, actually, yeah, I do feel better now because I offloaded, I said how I felt, and then I can then come back. But yes, as a couple as well, like my husband does it, I know he's not having a go at me at all, but he comes in and rants, especially if I'm in the kitchen working or something, and then he'll rant at me, but something that's just happened at work, nothing to do with me or an argument that we've just had or whatever, but he's offloading and he gets really like frustrated and really passionate about it. And I know that I can just deal with that because I have this invisible barrier that nothing will affect me. But I know a lot of people don't do that. And then they think, well, why are they having a go at me? I'm not the one that's done anything wrong. So it's trying to figure out, again, communication as to how you can work through that. And then, yes, having boundaries when you have a date night. So don't talk about work. Don't talk about the kids, because we do that as well.
Do you know what? I think I've just developed a new service here. I think I'm just going to start a telephone line for people to rant at in the evening. I think it would be incredibly successful. You just come out, you finish work, and you just phone this telephone line for 10 minutes and just go, do you know that's the most disgusting? Yeah, well, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
But you know what? I wonder though, going back to what we were saying about people now working in silos at home, I wonder how many of those type of ranting conversations would have taken place at the coffee machine instead, and therefore they wouldn't have come home. But now, because the coffee machine, it's your own coffee machine, it's your kitchen, it then becomes a rant at home. And you've maybe previously have had the rant at work, driven home, and you've sort of to a degree moved on. Actually, you haven't moved on at all. And then it just all comes out at home, doesn't it?
Yeah. And that's what I see with my clients. Like my clients will say, well, he had to go at me about work stuff, but it's not intentionally me. And I'm like, no, it's nothing to do with you at all. They're just offloading. So don't take it personally. But not many people understand that. And because the person is their partner's really passionate about work, it can come out completely wrong and like swearing and just being like, but it's the partner learning to, not be so, I suppose, attacking all the time. But then going back to your date nights with something to talk about, if you've got that third thing, like you, your partner, and a game, then you're both focusing on that game. So you're both having fun. But then the other thing I say is if you have a date day or a weekend or whatever, go and do something that you used to do. Like when you first got together, what was the first thing that you did as a couple? Go and do that. Or go and reminisce about how you got together. Because in relationships, you will go through different stages, and one of you might have got a promotion and the other might be slightly behind, but you will grow. There'll be ups and downs. So trying to then come back to an area that is both common ground, I suppose.
Although, isn't there a danger in that for some people? Because, playing devil's advocate, once you have children, then the children become the common ground. But the trouble is you can end up talking about the children.
Yeah, definitely.
Which wasn't there when you started the relationship. And the trouble with that whole conversation is it can become quite negative quite quickly, because it can be about all the things you can't now do because you have children.
Who doesn't have that conversation?
We're just being honest today.
True. Yeah, definitely. And that's why you should, if you can do, schedule out, I don't know, I suppose we have a date weekend where my parents have the kids at least twice a year, and that's not much, and some people don't
how much do the parents charge? Is this a service we can tap into? And
this is another business opportunity.
Rent a grandparent. There's got to be some sort of legs in this one.
Love that. I'd absolutely love that.
Because also when you do, if you can, obviously, then you can kind of come back to not talking about your kids and just being together. Like just holding hands, especially if you've got babies. You obviously can't hold hands because you're pushing a buggy or you're doing something where the kids are holding your hands. So it's coming back to that intimacy again, not even just sex, just holding hands or cuddling or anything like that, will then bring that person back to you. Yeah. So yeah, devil advocate with the kids, definitely.
Now, you do talk about sex on your profile, which is, for some people, they probably go, LinkedIn, sex, talking about that, but we have talked about it on here before, believe it or not, within the realms of ergonomics as well. One of the things really is that people are ruining themselves physically out there, and actually that can lead to exhaustion, tiredness, mental health issues, but extreme physical health issues as well. I mean, we actually see a lot of people with extreme musculoskeletal issues or back issues, etc. And ultimately, do you feel very sexy when you've got backache all the time, or you've got pain all of the time? Probably not. No. So I'd love to think one of the things that we probably could do as ergonomists, as well as you out there as well, Gemma, is actually help people with their sex lives. I don't know whether we can how much we can push that, but I do think it's something that needs to be talked about, because
should I be speaking to our marketing team, Graham? Is there some sort of thing we need to start putting on laptop stands and keyboards? Are you
it improves your sex life?
Yeah,
I'd love to see some data on that one, but I'd love to see some data on it. But ultimately, it does lead through, because if you are, and we talk about things like posture, etc. But I mean, if you're like that all day long, and you're not breathing right, and you're creating pain in your back or whatever, and then you finish work after 8 hours of being sat there like that. And the partner comes in and goes, "Hey, date night tonight," and you're like, "Oh my god, my back." It may not go anywhere. Just saying. So it's important that people start taking ownership of their physical health as well, isn't it? Right.
Definitely. Yeah.
And how important is the link between how you are health-wise and what happens?
It is. Do lamb yoga.
Lamb yoga. I love it.
It certainly is. And Stephen, are you standing? I think you're standing, aren't you?
I am standing, yes.
Yeah, I'm standing too. Yeah. Graham, not.
Graham sitting.
But I have the option. Oh,
you've just cut your.
Oh, you got me off.
Just cut you off.
There, look, I'll stand.
I have to say, I do. Do you know what? I used to always sit for this show. But since I had the sit-stand desk, which came about 6 months ago, I now always stand for the show and for generally for Teams calls, and generally sit down for boring Excel admin, that sort of stuff. But I actually find it a lot more, just the fact you can sort of be actually getting a bit more involved in the conversation by the fact you're not restricted to the seat. So I do stand
definitely.
up. So.
Yeah. Sorry, back to your question.
No, so what were you going to say about standing then?
Yeah, that your posture is much better. Like you stand up straight, your shoulders are down instead of being hunched, or you're holding on
chest
to
open.
Which then means that you're breathing better, because you're actually using this whole area, which is free, your whole lungs, correctly. Because when we're hunched over, that then sort of like your spine is not actually straight, it goes round. But when you are curved, it's kind of more like that, or when you're hunched over. So then you're squashing your diaphragm, you're squashing your lungs and your stomach. When you're actually standing, everything is straight. So you're not having a bad back because your posture is correct, like your lower back is good. So then you have a less chance of having lower back issues. But if you have got lower back or anything like that, and yes, you're feeling in pain, you might not feel sexy, or you don't really want it because you're in pain. So it's trying to actually figure out where the pain is, why you're getting it, sort out that issue, and then you then start to think, oh, actually, if I stand, I don't get back pain. So I then feel good. I'm breathing correctly because I'm getting the oxygen into my bloodstream, my lungs, like the bronchioles, the tiny little capillaries in the bottom of your lungs, which don't actually get used, especially when we are stressed, anxious, we shallow breathe a lot. So when you kind of can turn that back around, and breathe properly, you then immediately get oxygen into your brain, which then makes you feel better, which then makes you carry yourself better. You just have an overall better life, and you just feel so much better about yourself. So
I think in a roundabout way, we are actually being able to argue that good ergonomics helps your sex life. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
brilliant. I think what we need, Stephen, is t-shirts with that on.
We need to work on the slogan.
Yeah, we have to work on the slogan.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know if you saw, I did a post, I think it was Wednesday on LinkedIn, 30 days of sex. Now, that doesn't mean sexual like intercourse, every penetration every single day. That can just be anything. But that brings it back to intimacy, because especially if a lot of my clients haven't had sex for, I don't know, months. And it might mean that by actually putting everything down, closing your laptop, having just sitting and talking, even just holding hands, you then start to connect back with each other. So yeah, it works.
So just in the first comment, just sort of comments just come in from Caroline. So Graham's going to try and...
I'm now sitting up as straight as I can.
Well done.
You see what I'm saying? It's going to work, right? This. Yeah. I actually used to have t-shirts for one of the businesses, the ergonomic businesses that I worked in, which actually said my favorite position is the next one. And I think that may be the one to bring back.
Isn't that someone's strapline already?
No, that was my strapline. Someone else stole it.
Did they?
But I'm just saying. But I'm just saying. Well, allegedly. But I'm just. It may have existed in the ether forever. Yeah. Who knows? But maybe that's the sort of thing. Because the other thing as well is one of the things that we talk about within ergonomics is the fact you just need to keep moving as well.
Yes.
So it's one of the reasons. If you look at the products that Backer do, for example, they're all, a lot of them are based around the fact that we now actually can move from one position to another and work in different places. But what we don't do is we don't then take the time to set ourselves up properly when we are in those spaces.
Yes.
And that's the thing that we need to start getting right.
Yeah.
Again, could be some good correlation there, because obviously if you're going to partake in sexual activity, you need to take the right precautions in the first place. And so there we go. Maybe we could step into that. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
The best posture is the next posture. There we go.
There you go.
Something like
that wasn't your tagline, was it?
No, I said position, because I felt it had a slight sexual undertone to it, which actually
back on track with posture.
Because sometimes I do have slightly arched back, so sometimes I will arch myself, and then especially if I've been standing for an hour and I'm not moving, and sometimes you'll see me like just moving from side to side or bending my legs, you then start to want to bend. So by just doing a forward bend, like general yoga pose, bringing your arms up, fold forwards, touch your toes. Not many people can touch their toes, and it's not about that. It's about you can. Well done.
Yeah. I went to the doctors recently, and it's one of the things that they do when you have like your MOT right at 50. So they say, "Can you touch your toes?" And I did. I said, "But it's a bit of a struggle." I was trying to get my hands underneath, and the doctor went, "I can't do that." So there you go.
Well done.
And then we swapped roles, and I tried.
What sort of doctor was this, Graham?
That's it. Well, don't get me started on the fact you can't actually see a doctor these days, because that's a whole new conversation. 2.5 months to get absolutely. GPs, where are you out there? We need more of you. Is there anything we can learn from sort of general our personal relationships that can carry over into relationships at work as well? Is there anything that we can learn about?
If you're happy in your relationship at home, which hopefully everyone is, but they're not, I know that, then it can go into your work life. So when you're happy, when you have an overall happy house, happy relationship, you like your job and you go to work wanting to work, then it will it will show within your efforts, your work ethics and work. If you're not, and you've got an issue at home, you try not to bring it into work, but you'll then start to feel down, you're anxious, you're quite snappy with your colleagues. And then until someone says, are you all right? What's the matter? And then sometimes you can then just say, no, nothing's happy, nothing's right. But then again, most of the time it is, or if it's the other way around. So
I was going to say it works the other way around as well.
The other way around as well. Yeah. So if years ago, I actually used to be a veterinary nurse for 19 years, and I was head nurse of a branch practice for, I think about 8. And there was one vet that always had a go at me no matter what. And I would be slightly under him, but he would undermine everything that I would say. So I would then have a team of, I think, 6 under me. But that then got to me. So we would argue at the workplace, and then I would then bring it home, because then I'd be really stressed, anxious, just rah all the time. And that's not me. I'm not normally like that at all. And it then affected our relationship. So it can be either way. And also family as well. Like my mother-in-law hates me. I don't get it.
Is that true?
Yeah. And we spent years, like must have been about 5-6 years. Actually, Hugo's 9 now. So I don't know. It's been since the kids have been born that my mother-in-law doesn't want to see the kids, and just she only lives about 30 miles away. It's not even that far really. But and that used to bug us. And then it's like, well, what's the problem? Why are we the ones in the wrong? Like, we're successful. She doesn't like that. We've got a lovely house, a lovely family. She doesn't like that. It's just her. But then you have to think, okay, well, if someone's not happy and they're trying to bring you down, it means they're not happy.
Yeah.
So you just have to, ride that and get out of it. Yeah.
And a lot of people would say, and I spoke to someone else on a live the other day that said that they would then cut that person off, regardless of who that person is, because actually, if they're bad for your immediate relationships, and they're not wanting to be part of those relationships, then you can't really expel any energy on that, because the only energy you're going to expel is negative energy on that, and it's not going to bring anything positive into your the rest of your. In fact, you'll probably argue about it,
Yeah, you would. Yeah, definitely. And we've had so many arguments about it, because obviously it's my husband's mum, and it does. And then you just get to the point where you just think, I can't be bothered anymore. It's wasting our energy. It's wasting our time. We're arguing about it. Yet she doesn't have a clue that we're arguing about it. So you just, you have to kind of cut a boundary. And obviously he doesn't want to cut completely, because it is his mother. But we don't really see each other. And then Hugo, my son, he brought up the other day, because it was Mother's Day, had said, what are you getting Grandma? And he said, nothing, because we don't see. I'll send her a card. And then he was like, but Mummy's getting Nana something. I was like, well, I see my parents all the time, and they want to see the grandkids all the time. So it is so different, like the different family dynamics. And especially if one of your family members, or anyone, friends for that matter, is not happy where they are right now, they can't bear to see you happy. So you just can't bring it down.
I'm very interested to hear that you as someone that's a relationship coach, etc., you've realized yourself the importance of your posture.
Yes.
And your physical well-being. I think that's brilliant that you've done that. Do you see, when you're talking to clients, do you see any kind of correlation between their physical side and their how they work and whatever, and their relationship side?
Yeah, definitely. Especially lower back issues, shoulder issues, and not issues, headaches. Because again, we are all sat down. Most of us are sat hunched over. You don't move for however many hours, and you then have pain somewhere, or especially when you get up, or you bend down and you're like, I can't reach that. Why? You shouldn't be going, I can't get that. That's not right. So there's something that you need to then bring into your whole well-being. And I've got I don't know what it's called, like an acupressure mat, which is like loads of little spikes on it, and you lay on it for a certain amount of time, and that sorts out everything. It's amazing. But also, if you've got any gym equipment at home, even just doing like 5 minutes of weights, or even just to do a yoga stretch, at least get out of your bed and just stretch up. That is like one of the main things. 3 big deep breaths, stretch, excuse me, and then just go for a walk or run or anything like that. But yes, with pain, it is massive because of the way we have been in the last 3 years, which is awful, really. And no matter where you are, where you work, like with veterinary nursing, I was on my feet all day. And if I was still doing that, I would still be on my feet all day. So then I would make sure that I got the right shoes, because otherwise I would get really hurt. I've got quite a low instep. So which then makes I've got severe hip dysplasia, which I'm healing without surgical interference, but it's working. But it means that my pelvis goes in, which means my knees go in, which means I'm bow-legged. So all the way up from my feet is not right. But trying to bring in holistic ways, as well as if you wanted to go down the medical route, then you can do. But a lot of people are scaling that back now and trying to find more holistic ways, because of the drugs that you're getting or you're putting yourself through will then have different consequences, different side effects, which then you have to take something else because that side effect is affecting you, which then comes back into the relationship again. It is
fascinating. I have to get up and move, because otherwise my back will seize up, and because I sit on my bum too much of the day. My wife's completely the opposite. She's a dental nurse. She spends her day stood up, but of course they spend their day stood up and slightly bent over. But that means for her, she suffers sometimes if she sits. She finds sitting painful, because she it's just completely the opposite way around. If I sit down, I wouldn't get any back pain at all. If I stand for too long, I start to get back pain. So it's
so when you do stand and you're standing for too long, try and tuck your bum under, so like you're engaging your core slightly, and then your shoulders down, lifting your chest slightly. But it's hard to actually stand like that. Can you feel your tummy working?
What you need is a sheep pushing against that.
Or a llama. What was it? An alpaca or a llama, wasn't it?
Alpaca.
Alpaca.
Yeah.
I'd love to have an alpaca in the office. Probably make a bit of a mess. But
I have 2 guinea pigs in the office.
Cute.
Does that help?
It does.
Yoga with guinea pigs.
Yeah, except when you're on a call and suddenly there's like this noise and you sort of look, oh God, give me a heart attack.
Can they make don't they make like a squeaky noise?
Yeah,
they do. They're very chatty throughout the day. Because I'm usually in here and the kids are at school all day, so for sort of 6 or 7 hours, it's sort of me and they're sort of perking up. And I won't pick one up this time, maybe for another show. But there's like little squeaks and wood being chewed and metal, and they're happily having lunch behind me at the moment.
Oh, that's lovely. I mean, my daughter's desperate for us to get a guinea pig, but I've told her that the dog will eat it. So
hang on a second. I think they'd eat the dog.
The guinea pig, the guinea pig will be bigger.
No, do you know what? He would actually a guinea pig. That.
How much does he weigh?
Oh, it'd be half his body weight, but he'd have a go.
It's like those is it those big snakes? You know where you see a snake's body and it's got like the shape of a sheep or something that it's consumed in one go. It'd be a little bit like that, wouldn't it? Yeah. It dislocates its own jaw.
So we've wrapped up quite a lot of great advice today. It's always really interesting getting someone in from what is seemingly a very different profession, a very different area. And we've had over the last few weeks we've had some people from the ergonomic sector on as well, and that's always great. But it's really interesting hearing what the overlap is and what what other people are doing and the kind of advice that you're giving. And it's great that you're giving out, if you like, ergonomic advice as part of your relationship advice for people. Is there anything that would be useful for you to know from what's going on in the ergonomic sector that you could pass on to people?
I don't know, actually. I suppose relationships then with, I don't know. Yeah. Being in the office. Yeah. Well, you're not in the office though, are you really? I don't know.
Have a think and let us know.
Yeah.
And what we always ask is, and because we always ask this at the end of the show, is send us a photo of your desk setup, because what we always do is a little thank you for coming on the show. We're going to send you a little bit of an ergonomic emergency pack. So if we can help with your posture and setup, we'll do that. So just pop us a picture over, Gemma, and we'll sort that out for you.
I'm actually in my bedroom. There's a shelf on the wall with my laptop on it.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. This is an easy one.
That's easy. Yeah. And what we'll do is we'll sort you out with something. So wherever you are, whether you're there or whether you're in a shed with lambs, you can be on your laptop effectively.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
I'm not quite sure how how we really make a laptop work with for lamb filming, but we will sort something.
We'll come up with something.
Definitely. No, that's been a really interesting conversation. Thank you. And if we've made people sit up straight, whether it was because they just want to avoid a bad back, or whether they feel that it will help with their relationships and their sex life, I don't really care. I mean, it's all heading in the same direction at the end of the day. It's actually treating people as you say, holistically, treating people as whole people. And I think that's the thing that we've been really bad at in the past. And the last few years, I mean, I couldn't believe it when they said on the radio the other day, 3 years ago, wasn't it? Earlier this week, 3 years ago. But those years have taught us so much as a human race, and we've realised, we don't get a lot of time here now, and we need to take care of ourselves for the time that we have got, and each other. So hopefully, we're beginning to get there now in terms of learning how to help people effectively, and I think we need to. We do. If you want to get the best out of your workforce, if we want to talk about all the great things that bring on about return on investment, like productivity and efficiency and everything else, it starts by looking after your people, folks. So don't look after your people, expect rubbish to happen. Gemma, thanks for joining us. Steve, as usual, thank you very much. I'm glad that I've stood up now, that I'm moving about. I might even go and eat some lunch before I'm back again later this afternoon. If you haven't noticed, I've been doing a marathon today. three shows in a row. I get a little bit of a break, and then I've got another one this afternoon. And if you've enjoyed this, and I noticed when I did my poll this morning, a lot of people went, "Oh, what ergonomics? That sounds interesting. I need to watch that." If you've enjoyed this, you can fill your boots with it at wowergonomics.com, where all the previous episodes are there for you to watch. Lots of different guests. Dip in, dip out, enjoy it. You can even listen to it on Spotify as you drive along in your car down the M25. Well, park on the M25. Until next week, take care of yourselves.
See you next week.
Bye for now.
Bye.